Hello everybody and welcome back to the show. The Atheist Experience is live September 15th, 2002. I'm your host Martin Wagner, Ashley Perrien, my co-host.
Afternoon.
Yes, welcome back. Thank you for joining us. This show is sponsored, as always, by Atheist Community of Austin. We're a nonprofit educational organization promoting positive atheism and the separation of church and state. ACA holds weekly meetings every Sunday morning, 10:30 a.m. at Hot Jumbo Bagels, which is at 307 West 5th Street. Downtown between Guadalupe and Lavaca, except for the first Sunday of each month, when we have our lecture series in the Longhorn Room of First Cafeteria North Cross Mall. That's about 11 a.m. Our next lecture will be October the 6th?
I
think so.
I don't know.
First Sunday of October. And our speaker will be a guy named Don Baker, who will be talking about memes, those little bits of mental programming that follow us through our lives. Ought to be fascinating. Other ACA events include Godless Gamers, which takes place Monday night at 7 at the home of Russell and Virginia Glasser, and ACA Happy Hour, which is a Thursday evening event about 7:30, 8-ish p.m. at Antonio's Tex-Mex near the intersection of I-35 and Highway 183. The Non-Profits is our live weekly internet radio show, which plays at 2 o'clock p.m. Saturday afternoons at the atheistnetwork.com website, an MP3 audio stream, and there is a live chat room feature that you can use to interact with the program. The show is hosted by our very own Jeff D. and co-hosted by Vic Farrow, Mary McManamy, and Russell Glasser, and it's all kinds of fun to listen to. The University Atheists and Agnostics, a new registered UT student organization founded by Charles Tabany. He was our guest on the show last week talking about that group. Meets 4 o'clock p.m. every Friday. As far as we know, it's still 310 Parlin is the room where they meet. And that organization, as we mentioned last week, has really hit the ground running. A lot of attention, a lot of interest from folks, and very big meetings right off the bat. There it is. Information on that group. If you are a UT student or faculty member, I imagine, then you are qualified to be part of that group. So congratulations on Charles and the UAA for their success. Godless Americans March on Washington, still slated for November 2nd, Saturday this year, just barely a month and a half away. For information on that little gathering, go to godlessamericans.org. This is a thing that we hope a lot of atheists and agnostics and unbelievers from around the country can actually manage to get out to. Yeah. Be nice if there was a little, enough of a sizable gathering that it just wasn't some pathetic little dog and pony show for the just sort of, if nothing, we don't expect that this will be a thing that will change any sort of political policy or bigotry against atheists, but at least it will be it's a way of saying, hey, here we are.
Raise a couple eyebrows, if nothing else.
Sure, yeah. So that's what's happening there. All right, before we get into the news, this week was a big week of remembrance for our nation, and the ACA hosted what I thought was quite a successful little, very small, but I thought very poignant memorial gathering on Wednesday, September 11th in Woolridge Square. Started about 6-ish and went for about an hour and 15 minutes or so. Very nicely done. There was a bit of a strange hiccup when we first got there.
Yes.
Because we turned up at the park to find there was this little group of musicians who had manned the gazebo with all their sound equipment, and they were playing all these hippie folky Jesus songs, and we're like, well, they're not with us. It turned out that
our musical accompaniment section has gone a little bit off topic. Yeah. Have to rein them in a little bit tighter next time. What had happened, though, is my initial concern was that maybe some religious group, knowing that we had scheduled the park for that time, had just decided to move in and take over the place and just move in and prevent us from doing our thing. Problem. Turned out that wasn't the case at all. It was see how easy it is to get paranoid. But to get us.
Yeah, it wasn't that wasn't the case at all. Apparently, the city, either through bureaucratic incompetence, which I think is probably 100% certain, or maybe they're just scumbags who decided, hey, let's double dip on the $30 fee to book this park. But whatever happened, the park had been double booked. But the people who were there prior to us were very nice to stand aside, particularly I think in light of the fact that maybe there were 10 of them and 40 of us, and so it was pretty obvious that an event was going to occur, whether they liked it or not. But it turned out to be, it turned out to be all very nice and good. And several of us videotaped it. including me, and I cut together a 10-minute highlight reel, a little short edited version of what went on, which will show on the program next Sunday. We'll have that on the program next Sunday, just so you can see a little bit of what it was like. Just highlights from all the speeches and just the gathering, and you can see a wide variety of the emotions that were present. It was very nice, but and some terrific speeches, very eloquent.
Okay, good.
Eloquent.
Yeah, I wasn't able to get out there at work that day, but I really do want to see the video and hear the speeches. And
absolutely.
'cause I know we had some good people up there. So.
We did. Everybody was. It was not overly solemn, and I think some good points were made.
Okay.
I was asked to speak, as was Jeff, and both of us were kind of in a position of not being sure that, because we might have. I know for a fact that I probably, whatever speech I might have given, would have probably been a little bit more
pointed.
Than something. The occasion called for some solemnity. We were there to honor the dead.
Yeah.
And it would be a bit more in that sort of thing. And so I don't know if it would have been a case to really kind of hit some hard points about because any speech I would have given, I realized, would have put 9/11 squarely within the historical context of religious crimes against humanity, and why religion is bad for people. Maybe that wouldn't have been the right platform, the appropriate platform to deliver that message.
Not quite the right time and place.
Yeah. So I thought, there's no way I really might not have been a little belligerent and pissed off about the whole thing. But it worked out well. So I just decided, look, I'm going to shoot the event and make a little film of it. And but the speakers we did get, who were Russell and Don Lawrence, was his usual.
Okay.
Flamboyant. Well, no, not flamboyant, but he was very, his gift for oratory, was.
So Jeff didn't speak?
Very much. Jeff D did not speak either.
Oh, okay.
So the same situation. We were like, I don't know, any speech that he and I would have given would have been probably very aggressive to the point. But Russell gave a speech
that I heard was excellent.
It was excellent, and he delivered sort of I wouldn't call it quite the angry atheist position, but very much pointed to the whole idea of that, we've actually not seen so much the nation come together in the year after 9/11. We have seen actually more divisiveness and intolerance as a result of this whole situation. And just belief in the continued nonstop promotion of theism overall is not helping matters.
Yeah.
But next Sunday on the program, you'll see some of this video. You'll see I put together a 10-minute thing that we're going to show on the show next week. Alrighty. I'm done then. I guess that's pretty much it for announcements. So over to you, Ashley, for the week's events and news.
Okay. All right. I got some light news stories this week. A lot of what I was able to find this week in terms of news had to do a lot with, it was just so much in terms of priest molests 5 kids.
Again,
another church cover-up. I think this time it was a Canadian Jehovah's Witness telling them to cover up the sexual abuse and stuff like that because the end times are coming. And in light of the end times, what's your abuse thing got to do with anything?
Right.
So it was just so many stories like that, and I'm trying to clear.
Glad you brought that up. We have something. I have some more information about Jehovah's Witnesses. A little follow-up from last week's show, but we'll do that after you're done with the news.
Okay. All right. Okay. First one. This is actually in India. In the Hindu newspaper, they have a new stamp out that was just released a couple days ago, on the 12th actually, honoring Gora, who is, a social reformer and the founder of the first known atheist center in 1940.
Wow.
He founded an atheist center with his wife, and they have a new stamp out honoring him.
Cool.
And that was very nifty. It was actually put out simultaneously in 850 cities and towns across the country.
Well, what do you know?
So yeah,
because this would be like the first stamp of a known atheist that we,
or at least for the reason.
For that reason,
exactly.
Right? I mean, we've
exactly.
had other.
I'm sure there have been other atheist stamps out there, but because they were inventors or who knows what,
right, or scientists or people like that.
Yeah, but. And actually they did a lot of social work around the country and stuff like that. And
that's great.
They actually attracted the attention of Mahatma Gandhi when they were alive, and they sat down and chalked out some plans for social work and stuff like that.
Well, very cool.
Yeah, the Gora couple have been in the forefront of social change, striving incessantly for eradication of untouchability, caste system, and gender bias. So they've been fighting for the good fight.
Excellent.
So, and now they got a stamp for him.
Well, that's good.
So, good to be honored.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm sure go cold day you know where when before this nation gets a Robert Ingersoll stamp or really. Something like that, or a Bertrand Russell stamp.
Yeah.
So, oh well.
Okay, and if we're not on next week, here is why.
Not on? Oh.
Yes. There is a seminar going on up in Michigan this week at the Lakeshore Interfaith Institute in Michigan.
I see what you mean.
And what they're going to do is prove God's existence logically and scientifically.
Wow.
So if they succeed, we may not be on next week.
They may just bowl us over with their brilliant arguments.
Or we may just scratch out the A.
Well, you know, I wouldn't quite jump the gun so fast, actually, because, you know, you can use logic to prove that, Abraham Lincoln was a giraffe. I mean, if you just want to make a logical, strictly...
It's a loose logic, but yeah, it's there.
Yeah, it's logically, you know, there are, you know, you can play all kinds of games with... So, sure, okay. I'll be very interested to see what they come up with.
Yeah, we'll see.
And then if we can turn any of these logical proofs into empirical proofs, I'll be tremendously impressed.
Yes, yes.
Yeah. But, you know, I have a sneaking feeling we'll be on next week.
Yeah, I'm not...
Sorry!
I'm not booking my Sunday just yet.
Yeah.
So, it's actually Dr. Sanjay Mazumdar. And his quote in here is, "Most religions believe in the existence of God. However, to many a believer, it is merely their faith or social pressure that propels them to continue believing in God. In this age of science and reasoning, religion can be universally and voluntarily accepted when explained on the basis of science and logic." So, we shall see what we shall see.
Quote-unquote scientific proofs that you might possibly have for the existence of God that these guys want to offer up that haven't been attempted before. It'll be very interesting to see.
Yeah, they'll bring up the moon dust, I'm sure.
Yeah. Moon dust, that's it. Yeah.
Okay, and the final story. Reverend Mel White. He's actually a guy who ghost wrote Jerry Falwell's autobiography a couple years back. He's actually known the guy for a long time, like 15 years. Mm. That's Reverend Mel White.
Okay.
Him and his lover.
Wait, Reverend Mel White is gay?
Yes.
Does Falwell know this?
Yes. Gary Nixon is his partner.
Okay.
They have moved house. Their new location is next door to Jerry Falwell's church.
You mean like right
next door.
In the next lot?
Apparently.
Okay.
According to this, it says next door.
All right.
And why did they do this? To correct what they see as a misinformation spread by the pastor and show that homosexuals can lead Christian lives. And I love their quote, "We just want Lynchburg to see us, an old gay couple, and realize that we're just as boring as they are."
But this puzzles me. Okay, Falwell has been friends with this guy for 15 years.
Yes.
This guy wrote Falwell's autobiography.
Yes.
And you're saying this entire time Falwell has fully known that the man was gay.
I don't know if it was this whole time.
Because I can't imagine just with the statements that Falwell has made publicly about gay people, I just can't imagine he would give the guy the time of day if he knew.
White, a minister with Metropolitan Community Church in Los Angeles, has known Falwell for more than 15 years before White announced his homosexuality.
Okay, so he just came out then.
So apparently it might have just been relatively recent.
Okay, so he just came out.
So, yeah.
And
he's moving next door. He's going to put up his stake in the land. And Jerry Falwell, of course, has a few choice words for this.
Oh, I'm sure he does.
It's basically just a big publicity stunt and stuff like that. And what was this? But they are welcome at his church. He says it's a publicity stunt, but this gay couple, they're perfectly welcome to come to his church and enjoy it. I can't think of anyone who needs it more, Falwell said.
Yeah.
And their response is, "We believe he'll be one of the first to say gays are God's children too," White said.
Yeah, don't hold your breath on that, dude.
"We just need to give him enough time to do it."
You have 38,000 years? Yeah, I don't know.
Yep.
Yeah,
look. Because that's most likely how long it's going to take.
There is no cure for willful ignorance.
Yes.
And, you know, all the cliches, you know, pile up here. Leopards don't change their spots, et cetera, et cetera. You know, Falwell just is the way he is, right?
And I can't see him making that big of a change.
He's a fundamentalist. He's got that indoctrinated mindset. He's who he is. Yeah. He's what he is. And
yeah.
Just don't be so naive as to think that
he'll come around.
Yeah. Here's another thing. This kind of gets back to some of the stuff that I was talking about at the memorial. A lot of wonderful speeches. But I can't help taking it with more than a grain of salt when a lot of these speeches, with the very best intentions, talk about how, you know, well, we all really need to, you know, can't we all just get along, and we need to get past these ideological differences that we have, and just see each other as people and be friends as well. And I'm like, look, that is really terrific and wonderful in principle, but let's not be so completely unrealistic. When you have somebody who has this harsh, ideological, inflexible, strident belief system, you know, religious belief systems, that tell you that if you think any other way than you are told to think by the book, you're going to fry, or you're not going to win God's favor, or, you know, your big, all-powerful, invisible friend in the sky won't like you anymore. It's hard to back off and just have this live and let live attitude. Now, granted, not all Christians are like Falwell. Only a very small amount are.
Very small.
But as Russell pointed out in his talk, you know, Falwell's fundamentalism is essentially not that different than bin Laden's, in that
just following a slightly
when you have a belief system that takes you to the extent of saying, my way of believing and thinking is the only right way, and everyone else is so thoroughly wrong, that, you know, that they're dehumanized, that they become, you know, beneath you, then that just leads to very dangerous situations. And it has been my experience that you just can't make nice with people like Falwell. If you're not, you know, the fact is, he already looks down on you and sneers at you and has very arrogant attitudes, you know, just sort of sees you as inferior. And trying to reach out to him in friendship will just make him that more contemptible of you. Because he'll just say, because he'll be just like, you know, this pitiful person, they're trying so hard, but, you know, they're just, you know, until they come on over to my side.
They're,
you know,
they're worthless. So.
You know, there's no heart that you can reach there. Okay. There are no feelings you can touch. Okay. I mean, there's just his degree of self-importance is so high. You know, there's this whole sort of, oh, let's have a big group hug and ignore our differences goes on. It's just unrealistic. It's unrealistic. So, you know. That's another reason why I didn't say anything. Everybody will
want to get off on a tangent like that.
Yeah, thanks, Martin, for all these positive messages you're giving us. But
and actually, you mentioned that. It reminds me of another story I was looking at this week. I was talking about the conflict between Christianity and Islamic beliefs, especially since September 11th, stuff like that. And basically, there's an article out there saying, you know, we shouldn't be Christians should not be looking towards Islam to find the enemy. They are not the enemy. The enemy is right within the U.S. It's greed, hypocrisy, and a couple other things, including atheists. We are the problem, apparently.
Oh, yeah, because we're the ones out there.
We're the ones flying planes, apparently.
Yeah, well, we're the ones that say, you know, well, I think we're the ones out there saying, hey, the emperor has no clothes, and you know, they don't like that, right? You know, we're always like, you know, we're we're the pincushion man. Have you ever seen that? Have you ever? There's a classic cartoon. I mean, yeah, animation and movie and cartoon. But there's this classic cartoon from like the 30s. Really creepy, actually, by today's standards. But it's called Balloon Land, right? Where you have this happy little town where everyone's balloons, right? La la la. And then the evil pincushion man shows up, and he's this big safety pin. Okay, and he just runs around terrorizing town, popping all the balloons. And there's actually some really kind of disturbing innuendo going on in the imagery there, because the pincushion man is this big safety pin where this pin is open like that, right? So he's running, and it's stuff you could never do in a cartoon today. But it's, but not quite towards that analogy. You know, we are the folks out there with our little needles going pop, pop, pop,
popping
pop.
balloons.
You know, just, you know, the little needle of reality is just sort of like, look, folks. And they can't possibly appreciate that.
And what I thought odd is, actually I saw that article, it was emailed to me. with that excerpt in it.
Right.
And I went back and clicked on the link, read the actual article, and it said all things, Atheists was not in there. They had removed it sometime during the week. Apparently they had gotten complaints on it.
Wait a minute, what paper was this?
I don't know offhand.
Okay, that's strange.
And like I said, I didn't actually print out the article like that.
Either it was not, it was removed from the original article, or when the article was copied and forwarded to people, it was added by whoever did that.
Well, it was somebody who forwards quite a few articles to me into the show, and so I wouldn't really expect
okay. So it didn't come from that kind of a source.
Exactly. Right? It wasn't just some unknown source that got to me or something like that.
Well, that's interesting.
It was somebody I know, and so yeah, apparently it was just pulled out a little bit later on. So no apology or anything. Just
that's fine.
Just instead.
Oops. Okay. Okay. Whatever. All right.
What is that update you had?
We got a letter, and we got an email from a guy. So we had a little error on last week's show.
Oh,
that was correcting, and we appreciate. I can't remember who sent this letter, but pointing out that we were talking last week about the Jehovah's Witnesses and the girl who died and her dad. You know, that whole big nightmare situation. And just last week there was another case reported of a woman in Florida died of congestive heart failure. And her doctor had basically said, well, we could have caught this in time, but this woman was a Jehovah's Witness, and her religious beliefs would have prevented the kind of surgery, like the angioplasty and that would have done something about this. And so there's another case of somebody who didn't need to dying because of some religion, again, some religious cult saying, don't do this. But what the emailer pointed out to me quite correctly, and I should have known better than this, was I must have said at some point last week when we were doing the reporting on this that Jehovah's Witnesses believe that if you take blood transfusions you're going to hell or something like that, right?
I think I saw that email,
yeah.
Or something similar.
Right. Well, Jehovah's Witnesses, in fact, don't believe in hell. Okay, so they reject the doctrine of hell. And I should have known better than this because, in fact, I have like a good handful of Jehovah's Witness and Watchtower like stuff in my possession.
Okay.
And they actually have these tracts that I've seen where they make completely commonsensical arguments against the existence of hell. It's no different than the arguments we make, but of course their alternative isn't any better. But still, you're quite right. Basically, they believe that either you're, and in fact, I think they hold to the belief that, as in Revelation, where it says that only 144,000 selected males will end up in heaven.
Oh, I didn't know it was males, but
yeah, it's all So there's like. So they hold strictly to that 144,000 end up in heaven, and the believers will win, everything, the whole 1,000 years and all of that is over with, and the earth is reborn as this wonderful Christian paradise. Then they will all be back in the sort of heaven on earth situation, right? And then unbelievers just die.
Yeah.
Right. There's nothing.
So
that's their take on it.
Okay. What about the Jehovah's Witness who are not part of the original? 14,000 or 140,000 or whatever.
Well, I think they just kind of like end up on hold for.
So they don't get anything really.
Well, they get to like live forever in the New Jerusalem and all that.
Okay.
I think after
I was
wondering
if it's.
And again, if that guy who wrote last week is watching and wants to correct any detail, this guy says he was a former Jehovah's Witnesses. He was a former Jehovah's Witness.
Okay.
And he said, I got away from that craziness. And I said, but if you have any questions on the Jehovah's Witnesses, I'm the guy to ask. So. But I think that's the case.
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
Cool.
But there's no hell for unbelievers. There's you just die.
Yeah.
Right.
Just over. So, which is kind of what we believe.
Yeah. Well, except we think everyone dies.
Well, true.
Which is kind of it's a bummer, we admit. But
it kind of bites.
What can you do? Do we have anything else?
Not really.
Okay. Well, this is a live call-in show. If you're watching us on that date. But if you're not watching us on that date, that means you're watching a tape, so don't call the program live. But if you are watching us today, nice overcast Sunday, and so we're starting to rack the calls up now.
It's overcast, but I was actually outside today.
You were?
Right after the bagel shop, I went out geocaching.
You did?
Found this nice three-point system, went out and did that one. It was nice. It was rainy enough, just enough to be cool and easy and stuff like that, but enough also to keep everybody else away from the parks.
Yeah.
So,
and what did you find today?
Actually, it was just a small cache. It was three links, you get the coordinates to the first, which is just coordinates to the second, which is coordinates to the third and final cache.
So they run you all around?
Yeah. It was probably about a mile, I guess, total walk. Took about an hour or so, but it was a lot of fun. It was nice to get out there because it's so cool. Because it's kind of misty, raining a little bit.
Now this is something that you do where it's just like a game, right? People hide things out.
Yeah, high-tech treasure hunt. Basically, they tell you here are the coordinates of some little cache, and so if you want to, go out and find it. And
all right,
it's fun.
Yeah. Okay, I'm just I can just see this. I have this whole Gary Larson cartoon image of you go out there and you find some guy's head. And it's like surprise, just Far Side thing. Or,
haven't found that one yet.
Let's mesh with the geocachers or something. Right. Okay. Well, now the calls are starting to rack up, so we will take. Russell is on line 1. Hi, you're on the air.
Hello.
Hi. Hey. Hang on, we got a little feedback problem to adjust.
Okay. Steve should probably turn down the hold monitor.
Okay. Hey, Russell, how you doing?
What up?
Well, it's really nice to be at home relaxing for a change. I never get to watch the show from home. But I got to say that when there's sound problems, I look around for the control panel to mess with.
Oh, right. Are we feeding back too bad?
Oh, no.
All right.
Okay.
Anyway, just wanted to let you know that if you go to the webpage, atheist-community.org, I didn't hear you mention it, but
no, I hadn't yet.
Now if you click on past events, and then there is a link to the speeches that were given on the 11th.
Oh, great. Cool.
Right now there's just mine and Don's.
Okay.
But I'm sure Jeff, Mary, and Michelle will give me the rest too.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Okay. And as soon as I can figure out how to get a good compressed version of the video, we'll try to maybe get that up there as a stream too. There's got to be a way to do it. Yeah.
And also another little apology to the people who were trying to listen to the nonprofits yesterday, and the Atheist Network was down for a while.
Oh, I see.
But the archive of that show is now up on the radio page too, so you can check that out.
Excellent.
All right then. Okay.
So, have a good rest of the show.
Yeah, okay. Mr. Producer who didn't turn up and left us shorthanded, we appreciate it.
Sorry.
We'll see you tomorrow.
Okay, bye.
Take care.
Thanks.
All right. Gee, I mean, it's not like having a new baby or anything, takes any of your time.
I know.
Jeez, I mean.
Now he has to call in and offer us technical advice.
It's still feedback. Okay, well, that number to call is live, 477-2288. There's an interesting article in the new issue of Skeptical Inquirer that's just out, and they talk about, and the cover's kind of eye-catching, because the cover blurb is, skeptical responses to September 11th.
Okay. Yeah.
And they're not talking about like being skeptical about September 11th, right? But what they're talking about is that the point that's being driven home is that it is the goal of terrorists to create this atmosphere of irrational fear.
Yeah.
Okay. And that's the one thing that we really need to safeguard against. Because, of course, that's what's happened when you look at like hate crimes that took place after 9/11. People. There's now this just sort of complete universal suspicion against Arab American citizens.
Yeah.
And just mistrust of people for no other reason than, they're not belonging to our group, that sort of thing. That kind of irrationalism, the fact that it's so prevalent, means that in many areas, okay, the 9/11 terrorists won.
Yeah.
Okay, they did sort of take a lot of the stuff that was percolating under the surface of American culture, the bad stuff, and it just kind of brought it all to the fore.
Yeah.
I mean, on the one hand, there's a lot of tremendous selflessness and heroism, and people being very responsible.
Yeah.
In the wake of 9/11, and I think that there's more of a feeling of community service, and people really, now any sort of crime, just the public will not stand for it. The public will not stand for being victimized, any case of crime. That's a good thing.
Yeah.
But in certain pockets, it has gotten out of hand.
Yeah.
And
it's basically pushed everybody away from the center.
Yeah, and that's kind of an interesting springboard for conversation. Is how can we avoid getting all emotionally worked up about tragic situations like this, and it's so difficult because there's no way not to respond to something like 9/11 emotionally.
Yeah.
How can we still put a cap on it at the right time and say, okay, we have to deal with this situation rationally. We have to think it through.
Yeah.
You know, we can't just allow our own culture to collapse and fall in upon itself, and what have you.
Yeah.
So, so I think that can be a pretty interesting springboard for some debate and discussion there. Yeah. We'll see what Tom has to say. He's on line 1. Hey, Tom.
Hello.
Hi, you're on the air.
Hi. You guys are doing a great job down there.
Why, thank you.
I really appreciate your show. And I was just going to mention the FM turf wars. Apparently, some Christians in Lake Charles knocked off 2 of the only NPR affiliated stations just so that they can get them off the air because they're secular and liberal biased. Mm-hmm. And you know, I just thought that.
So he got NPR stations knocked off the air.
Yeah, they got them knocked off the air. Somehow they're doing.
Was this legally done, or just through some kind of jamming or something, or
power buyout type thing?
Okay.
Yeah, they just they bought out their frequency. I didn't know you could do that.
Well, not really. It's kind of confusing. It has to do with FCAA communications, and you could buy more power. If you buy a lot of power, then you can just knock them off the air.
Oh, I see.
Okay, yeah.
And they're after them to do that, and they've done it in other places in the country too.
And this is in Lake Charles, Louisiana.
So they're real scared of other ideas getting out there. You know?
You don't say.
We got the Christians running scared.
Yeah.
Well, I don't know if there's any openly atheist programs on NPR.
Well, the car talk and stuff.
Yeah, car talk.
Yeah,
I mean,
yeah.
Boy. Yeah, that'll subvert the morals of our nation. How did you're not from Lake Charles, but...
No, I was just reading it in the paper today. I mean, you guys do the little headline things.
Yeah, Russell, who just called, he phoned me up about a week and a half ago, just wanting to vent. Oh. So I let him do it. It was fun. Because Russell's ordinarily just such a laid-back,
can't picture him getting all that riled.
Yeah, water off a duck's back kind of guy. But he'd been listening. He listens to talk radio on the radio when he's driving. Yeah. And poor guy. And all we have in Austin, apparently, in the way of talk radio, is this really right-wing conservative slant on stuff. And for some reason, he listens to Christian radio and then flames it. And I'm like, Russell, don't listen to this stuff. It's kind of like when you're the joke where the guy goes to the doctor and says it hurts when I do this. Doctor says, stop doing it. Don't do that. But anyway, he did bring up that there's looks like our side's just losing. We're not getting the airtime. We're not getting the voice out there. And that's when I got my idea maybe about XM radio and about other avenues where, and I wouldn't call atheism necessarily a liberal or a left-wing point of view, because there are conservative atheists. There's atheists of all different political stripes. Yeah. But to just get an opposing point of view from the accepted mainstream outlook publicly, there's got to be some good, effective ways about it. And we thought about how to do it, just doing regular broadcast radio here in town. I don't know what the expense would be, but I still think XM would be worth looking into. Maybe if we hooked up with the infidel guy on the Reggie who runs Atheist Network and what have you. Yeah. Just see what the cost involved would be. If there are existing channels or what it would take to start a new channel, that would probably be prohibitive. Yeah. But still, you notice that I hear about this big, horrible, evil liberal slant in the media. Maybe in some networks it's there. I don't watch the big three network news. I don't watch CBS or ABC, so I really don't know how. Peter Jennings had that documentary about a year ago that hinted that maybe Jesus wasn't the Son of God, and I think that kind of got to Christians a little annoyed. So I could see how they might take that as this evil left-wing plot. But yeah, I think that it would be so nice if there were more balance in mainstream media, wouldn't it? There.
Yeah, and like you dial across the AM dial. There's tons of dead air. I don't know, unlike you, I don't know what it takes to get that, but there's a lot of dead air out there. Yeah. It seems like there'd be room for something like that. Mm-hmm. Another part of your show that I really like that you seem to catch a little bit of flack on is when the Christians call in and you get flack because you're giving them another platform to talk about. Mm-hmm. But you guys just talk so rationally to them,
Well, we try.
And it's just fun to watch an argument fall apart. That's my favorite part of the show.
Yeah, well, you know, we're not here just to beat up on people, but
it is fun though.
It's well, it's really fun. I think a lot of Christians have just not been exposed to, or even been allowed to be exposed to, any sort of climate where anyone just not attacks, but just presents a criticism of the belief system. You read a lot of Christian literature where they'll say don't associate with non-Christians, and
yeah.
David Clark, when he was co-host of the show, he would get in a lot of debates with his sister,
yes,
who is Christian, and they would talk about things, and his sister would go to her pastor and say, well, my brother said this, what should I say? And the pastor would, according to David, he'd just tell her, don't talk to him.
Yeah.
You know, he's just,
he's the devil's influence,
right.
Don't talk to him.
So there is a lot of, you know, Christianity has developed in America its own pop culture that allows, you know, believers to just kind of be sheltered from opposing points of view in such a way to where if they're ever even exposed to an opposing point of view, say something like that's science, like evolution or what have you, or cosmology, or if it's just any kind of a criticism of what they believe, that this culture just, you know, the distortions of those points of view are all that get through. Yeah. And so they completely misunderstand, you know, what the criticisms really are of their beliefs.
Yeah.
Or they just aren't allowed to hear them. But one way or another, but a lot of Christians just don't talk to atheists. Yeah. And we hear that a lot when we get calls on the show. These people just, well, I've never talked to an atheist before. Yeah. They're bewildered that we're even up here saying the things we're saying.
And whenever you have a belief that's that strong about anything, religion, politics, whatever, you should always try and argue and debate about it and find out opposing views, because if you're going to hold it that strongly, make sure you're holding it for valid reasons and not just, you know, beating up on something that you don't know what you're talking about.
Yeah.
And so even if Christian callers call up and walk away strengthened in their faith, if they have thought about it, I'm happy for that. Just to make them think about it for once, rather than just automatically accepting whatever they've been told and whatever. If they can fight for it and argue and come out ahead, go for it. Yeah. I'd rather see that than just, you know, complacency.
Yeah, or suppression of opposing points of view to the mainstream.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. Well, anyway, you guys are doing a great job.
Well, thanks very much.
Do you ever think of doing like a Bible study course or something with the atheists? That would be a lot of fun.
Yeah, well, I don't know that it's been bandied about kind of, you know, not too seriously. A lot of, I mean, many of us have read the Bible. In fact, our producer, Steve, just got done reading it cover to cover and came out unscathed. And
I can't bring myself to do it, so I'd have to do it with somebody like you guys.
Yeah. I've actually read it more since I've been an atheist than I did when I was an actual Christian going to church as a kid. I had this really cool Bible that, you know, the kind with the zipper that zips shut, which I never saw the point of. I mean, what are you trying, I mean, it's going to fall out? I mean, why does a book need to be zipped shut? So it's just this cosmetic thing. But I had this, but I don't know that I read 2 words of it until like when I was into my
carried it around.
Well, yeah, because it's my thing, right? And I could, like, you know, sneak a comic into church. That's the value of the zipper. But but until I was starting thinking, I really don't think I believe this kind of stuff. That's when I actually began reading what was in there and seeing the stuff in there that kind of freaked me out and thinking, this can't be right. This can't be good. Yeah. But I don't know that any of us have the stomach to actually sit down and ever form a Bible study. But
it's not really all that much fun.
You know, I mean, yeah, those of us who care about that kind of thing do it, and you know, but it's a funny idea sometimes to kid about.
Okay, I'll let you guys go and get some more callers going.
Hey, well, thanks very much for calling. All right, you take care.
Well, this has always been mentioned. Trying to organize atheists in any way is like herding cats, and so
we're very disorganized
We may
people.
sit down for, you know, our 2-hour Bible lesson tonight, 2 verses into it, and we'll go off on some tangent and then
turn into karaoke night.
Yeah, so
we'll put on right.
It would be a really long course.
Yeah. So okay, well, that's 1 page. Now what's everyone want to do? Let's go out to eat.
This is boring.
Yeah, that's the thing you can get atheists to get together to do. Go out to eat.
Yeah.
That's a very easy thing to organize atheists to do.
Yeah.
That's just so. Okay, well, we're just letting some more calls rack up. What else have we?
Not too much. I was actually, it was very interesting. I have been recognized a couple times on the street and stuff like that because of this, but not very often. This week, I haven't been recognized actually in months. And then this week, twice.
Yeah, we do have an audience for the show. There's an audience out there, and we're grateful to all of them, and they're good folks, and we get a lot of good callers. And it looks like we have someone holding on line too, but we don't know who he is. Is there a? Yeah. So, are they still talking to him, or? We have all these lights blinking, but the control room isn't giving our fine folks here in the studio names. Yeah. So as soon as we find out, who you are and what you want, we'll talk to you. But let's get back to the Godless Americans March on Washington. Yes. I really like to go to that, but now it looks like I just might not be able to. I have a thing coming up that some work there's just a new job that I'm starting in October, November, that might conflict with my going out there. I mean, the thing is on a Saturday, but if I'm working until like 9 p.m. on the previous Friday, just being possible. So it's a shame because I was kind of hoping to make a little vacation of it. But I think it would be a swell thing for as many unbelievers just from around the country to get to, because if nothing else, unbelievers are so unaware of each other, I think, recently. Our show, this program, the live call-in television show about atheism, I think is the only show of its kind in America. There are other atheist shows.
Me, but
but we're like pioneers in this kind of forum. Yeah. And hopefully it'll spread out a little bit more. But for the the atheist community of Austin is known for being a very active group and doing stuff. Yes. And a lot of atheist groups aren't so much. So if nothing else, if as many people, as many unbelievers can just get out to Washington for that weekend, it'll probably be cold in November, but just go out there. It'll just be probably have no political impact whatsoever. We'll get some media coverage maybe. All the right-wing pundits will be frothing at the mouth. But if nothing else, the good part of it is you'll have atheists from around the country saying, hey, we're not alone.
Networking.
And we can now network and communicate, and maybe then we can make positive political changes that will be good for the nation kind of as a whole. Be good.
We kind of mentioned it this morning. I think there are maybe 3 or 4 people from our group that are planning on going up there, but again, it's not a huge contingency. But
well, it's half a country away. It's a difficult slog, and with work and everything. But there's still a good month and a half, looks like, to plan for it. So it's a thing worth considering. I would absolutely go if I thought that it was a least bit realistic that I could do it. But it does sound like something that would be worth doing. Yeah. We have Ryan on line 2 now. Now we're getting some callers' names here, so we're going to just start taking them. Yeah, Ryan?
Hello?
Hey, thanks for holding. What you up to?
Oh, not much. I'm not sure what the topic is. He said September 11th. But anyway, I was just going to say, I'm a Christian, I guess, and I guess, But I'm a Christian.
We like that conviction.
Yeah, exactly. But I actually watch y'all's show. Like, I've been watching it for the last 3 weeks, and I mean, maybe y'all can analyze that. I don't know, but it's an interesting show y'all have, and but I guess everyone has a different experience. But
anyway, as long as somebody thinks about it, even whether they agree or disagree, as long as they think about it, that's a good thing. I think a lot of I think bad Christians happen to good people, and that's a book title actually, But you know what I'm saying? I think that a lot of people, I mean, that happens to a lot of different types of causes and everything. That a lot of people give stuff bad names. It's the individual, and a lot of bad churches give the Christian bad.
And that was a point that was brought up when in one of the speeches at our memorial, Russell pointed out that it's not belonging to a religion is not a thing that makes somebody a bad person. Right. There are many wonderful, no matter what walk of life or creed you practice, there are many wonderful people around the world who are Christians, Muslims, Jews, Hindus, atheists, what have you. What the problem arises when you enter into this realm of this strident fundamentalism. When you start thinking,
right wing,
my way's the only way. No other way of thinking can possibly be acceptable. And anyone who disagrees with me for any reason, I just will not see eye to eye with that person. And I won't even try to communicate with them. I won't even try to communicate. It's just not worth the effort. They're on the bad side, and so and this is where you get guys like Falwell and Bin Laden and what have you are the people who think, sorry, we are the favored peoples of our divine friend, and anyone else is a sinner and an evil guy and a bad guy who is against God, and therefore then that justifies extremist actions and crazy stuff, and it all just gets out of hand. Now, I would say that any irrational belief systems, I think, will lead to that. And you can agree or disagree to the extent of whether you think a particular belief system is irrational based upon how much you've studied it. But it's a problem. And one can't, for everything good that you can credit religion with, stuff like, Sistine Chapel ceilings and really nice hospitals and this and that, which these are the things that maybe religion should be giving the human race. Excuse me, sorry. There's the flip side of that. There's the silver lining, but then there's the big dark cloud over it. And this is a lot that doesn't get talked about in the mainstream a whole lot. And so that's,
Well. All right.
Well, but we appreciate you watching the show, even though you disagree with us. And call us up anytime, and just if you want to hit us with some hard questions and challenge us, and tell us where we're off base, and we'll be happy to hear from you.
I'm not into criticizing. I mean, someone's beliefs, but good luck with your show, and have a good afternoon.
Thank you very much.
Bye.
Yeah, maybe we should offer that $1 million prize for anyone who can get us to take the A off the sign.
Well, I mean, that's not hard. You just get your fingernail under that. But we have $1 million. Our group has $1 million laying around that you're not telling me about. Oh boy. Anyway, Steve, thanks for that great close-up on me when I belched on camera. That really worked very, very nicely. Leland's on line 1. He's holding now, so we'll see what he has to say about all this. Leland?
Yes, good evening, gentlemen.
Hey. How are you doing today?
Fine. I'm curious what your thoughts are on the Harry Potter book series being used in schools now for a textbook. It has been picked up by the TEA here in Texas and also nationally, and actually made into a textbook with lesson plans and
a textbook. Wait,
yes, absolutely.
But for what course? What kind of course?
If it's another piece of literature for English class.
For literature, right, English, and they also use it for grammar.
Okay.
But
I don't know about the grammar qualities of Harry Potter. But
as it being,
well,
to me, it's a book involving paganism and Wicca.
Have you read the books?
Yes, I have.
Well, because I don't think there's anything in the books. I mean, the books are pure fantasy. It's wands and spells and making things float through the air and disappear, and that's not what
right out of witchcraft
but that's not what Wiccans do. Okay, that's
I understand that, but if the lady who wrote the book is, I believe, proselytizing for Wicca.
Okay, well, I've read the books and I disagree. I think that she's just telling fantasy stories. It's no different than...
it's a story. What about, okay, let's call it paganism then.
Well, I call it fiction.
I
call it fantasy. It's fantasy fiction. It's no different than Lord of the Rings. It's no different than Chronicles of Narnia. It's no different than...
it seems much different than Lord of the Rings to me for some reason, but maybe that's because I'm a fan of Lord of the Rings.
Yeah. Well, I mean, they're just...
That's my generation.
They're just books. They're just stories. I can remember these kinds of... There have been criticisms, controversy about, like, teaching Huckleberry Finn in English class because the people in that novel use racial epithets for black people, but of course back in the 1800s or when the novel is set, that was the form of speech. I mean, it's deplorable today, but back 100 years ago or 150 years ago, that's...
what I find deplorable, now that you mention that, is that a teacher or a college professor could be censured or fired for teaching that and using that word in the context of teaching the course. I think that's wrong.
I have never heard of that. That would be wrong.
No, there was a situation that happened recently. There was a teacher in class used the word niggardly, Niggardly, which means stingy, tight-fisted, not really, not generous. That's what it means. But some mother of a black kid thought that the word sounded just enough like the other word. And this teacher was penalized. I had to come out, apologize.
Right, that was last week that happened, didn't it?
Yeah, there's like a week. No, it was a week or two ago. Really? Not very long ago. Very recently. Completely stupid, right? But this situation, but the whole Harry Potter situation, I don't know. I mean, I think again, this is fundamentalists getting all riled up about something. These are stories. It's fiction. It's fantasy. I don't think there's any.
I just want to know if you saw that as a religious base of some sort of religion.
Well, all that I know of, and I'll let you get to a second, but I was just going to say, I've read the Harry Potter books. I know a little about Wicca, not an expert on it, but what they do in the Harry Potter, the kind of magic that's done in Harry Potter, making, candy appear out of nowhere and flying around. I mean, those things don't happen. It's make-believe.
Well, the casting of spells, okay?
But that's make-believe, okay? I mean, there may be kooky religions out there that try to cast spells, but it's, and maybe some Wiccans do that kind of thing. If there are Wiccans watching, please let us know what you guys get up to.
And if a kid wants to sit up in his room and grind up, grass clippings and see if he can make somebody fall in love with them, there are a lot worse things he could be doing.
Yeah.
So.
I mean, it's dumb. It's a waste of time. But
okay, I don't understand why you would kind of defend that, but yet not want the Ten Commandments on the wall. It's the same thing.
Well, no, the Ten Commandments are right out of a religious holy book, the Holy Bible. Okay? The Harry Potter novels aren't any religion's holy book. They're novels. They're marketed as fiction. They're storybooks. Go ahead, Ashley.
And more importantly than that, if Harry Potter's being taught in an English class as a piece of fiction, now I don't know about, the grammar qualities and how good of a story and stuff like that it is, but if it's something that can get the kids actually interested in reading and interested in getting books, more so than, let's say, Shakespeare, I'm for it. But if they teach the Bible as a piece of fiction and just in English class, hey, it's another piece of literature. If they think it merits it,
okay,
go for it.
But here's the thing.
But don't sit.
I understand. I see what you're saying.
Yeah, but I will say one thing. If there were a situation, okay, in which there was some high school and actual Wiccan beliefs were being promoted, then you're right. We'd come down on that very hard. Okay, no different than Ten Commandments or Christian prayer or any sort of other ritual going on where it was the state sponsoring some kind of religious activity. That's clearly unconstitutional. I don't think that's what's going on with the Harry Potter books. Harry Potter books are just stories.
Yeah.
I don't have a problem. Here's another. I don't have a problem if high schools around the country wanted to have a course in, say, comparative religions, in which the Bible was actually taught as a scriptural text, in which other beliefs were taught and compared. I don't have a problem with the Bible in schools if it's put in an educational context that doesn't involve the unconstitutional endorsement of a belief by the actual state.
Mm-hmm.
See, I don't have a problem with that, but I do have a problem with things like the Judeo-Christian Ten Commandments, like put on the wall, in God we trust, put on the wall as a school motto, direct expressions of a theistic belief being advocated and promoted by the school as a body funded by taxpayers. It's as opposed to no belief or make up your own mind.
Our country was founded by a bunch of theists. All our founding fathers. They came here for a religious purpose. The very core of this country. I mean, I know y'all probably hear that all the time.
We've been around the block on that one, yeah.
But, geez, it's just true. You can't get away from it.
Well, this country was founded by a group of slave owners who told us that all men are created equal.
Yeah, I mean, another point.
Yeah. That's good, all right.
Another point to that also, even if they were fundamentalist Christians, which they were not at all, but even if they were, the document they wrote, the Constitution, which is actually what we run the country on, is not promoting religion in any way, shape, or form.
Yeah, it leaves it up to the citizens.
So regardless of what their personal beliefs were, they realized that those were personal beliefs.
Well, now, wait a minute. What about where in the Declaration of Independence where it says that we're endowed by our Creator with these rights?
Look, the Declaration of Independence was, those men expressed...
It was a marketing tool.
Well, that's a funny way to put it. I mean, it was a thing that was done to get people to rally around the revolution.
Well, it's a valuable document. That's where our rights come. Our First, Fifth, our Amendment.
No.
Our rights, the very rights you're using.
No, our rights come from the Constitution of the United States,
not
the
Declaration
of Independence.
No, sir. They come from our inalienable rights. The First Amendment, all these that are listed, are given by our Creator. They don't come, but they weren't given to us by man. If they were given to us by man, they could be taken away. I'll read. By God.
Well, if they were given to you by God, they could be taken away. That makes no difference. But the point is, I mean, it's right here. I mean, in the Constitution, this is where the amendments are. This is where all the articles is spelling out the powers of government. And the only time religion is mentioned in this document at all has to do with prohibitions, saying the government cannot require religious tests for public office. It cannot require that a certain religion is promoted over others. The government is not allowed to interfere with the individual religious practices of citizens. But there's nothing in here saying, you know, that we have these specific religious beliefs and we're going to base our system of laws just upon those specific religious beliefs. There's nothing in there like that. Yeah, the Declaration of Independence, the Mayflower Compact, you can point to individual expressions of religious faith on the part of our founding fathers. Sure, many of them were very religious, many of them were deists, they came from a wide spectrum of theistic backgrounds, but the point is, the government they set up was a government by the people for the people, and it left the right of determining religious faith up to the individual citizen.
Amen, brother.
So that's
on that, I'll say goodbye.
All right, well, there we go. Thanks for listening to my long-winded speech. All righty, take care. Well, I'm going to shut him down then, huh? so that's all I want to hear about that subject. Yeah, but he has a point though about the whole. Yeah, it doesn't matter, and we want to make this abundantly clear that you know, I think there is this perception that there's some two-facedness where it was like, well, you guys don't want any Christian stuff in there, but you're okay with Harry Potter. And it's like, yeah. Look, if some kooky teacher out there is actually trying to promote Harry Potter and saying, now, boys and girls,
this is how you cast spells.
Yeah. Now, this might seem like a story, but you know, if you do the thing that it says on page 300 and you do it just a certain way, then you'll get all this cool stuff. Yeah. Then be like,
yeah,
sorry.
We got a problem with that.
Yeah, that's like way kooky. Who's next? Who should I take next? Jay, I'm being told to take next. All right. Hi, Jay. You're on the air.
Hey, what's up, guys?
We're just hanging.
Hey, yeah, I had a question for y'all. I've been up here in Austin about a month and a half, and watch y'all's show and Alex Jones' show a lot. I really like the local access up here, and I myself, I kind of wanted to get your view, and the guy kind of brought it up earlier on the pagan community. See, I have atheist friends. Luckily, I have a very open-minded Christian mom who lets me have my beliefs, which I love her to death for it. And I just wonder, do y'all get any good feedback or participation from the pagan community? Because I don't consider myself a Wiccan. I have my own personal beliefs on things. And do y'all get any negative feedback, positive feedback, or people that show up for some of y'all's functions? Are some of them, do they consider themselves pagan, or just kind of want to shy away from, I guess, the religious aspects? And the I don't really have a lot of love for religion as far as a lot of the hate I've seen, and like y'all seen 9/11, this and that. But what is y'all's feedback on this?
Yeah. I don't think we've ever really had any interaction with them at all. I don't remember any, major calls on it or continued calls. I don't remember any of them ever showing up to meetings or anything like that. So
no, we haven't really. David Clark used to speak to like the Unitarian Universalist Church, and I don't know if through that church he met any pagan or nature worship types. But we haven't really. No, pagans have kind of left us alone.
Well, hell, I might have to be the first then.
Yeah. So if we sprout horns on the show or twigs emerge from our ears, then we'll. It's like, uh-oh, those darn spellcasting pagans are after us.
We'll bring back Harry Potter.
Yeah, I really don't know much about if there is, any sort of a Wiccan or, I mean, I know there is.
I'm sure there must be to some extent.
Really, exclusively what we hear from on our program are Christians. Mainly because we talk about Christianity more than anything else, but that's only because in our culture, it's the majority faith.
Yeah.
And they're the ones out making news, and they're the ones who have guys with politicians in their pockets and all the rest of it. So
if they want to call in and debate us, though, hey, welcome to.
Well,
sure,
show, man. I'm not exactly atheist. I guess I'm about halfway there, but that's me.
All right.
But y'all keep it up, man.
Hey, we appreciate that.
Thanks for calling.
Yeah, that would be actually kind of interesting to if there's any Wiccans watching the show and you have some choice words about Harry Potter and people and Christians thinking that you're we'd love to hear your comeback to that, very much so. Troy's on too. Maybe he's one, or maybe not. Troy?
Hi, how you guys doing?
We're good. How you doing?
I'm doing pretty good, actually.
You're not a pagan, are you?
It's a pretty delicate topic you guys are dancing on there.
Yeah.
I've been watching for a while here, and I would love to speak up on it, but I do have a different question to bring up.
Indeed.
I am more of an agnostic than I'd say an atheist. But I have a friend, and his name's Zachary. And I don't know, he's really, he was with me on a lot of views. You know, we've been chatting, talking about religion for quite a couple of years now, and lately I've been kind of concerned that, you know, he's not really evaluating a lot of things, you know, as I have, specifically in the realm of Christianity, where I think he's going in for that sort of pop Christianity that's really popular. I guess popular, yeah.
Mm-hmm. Listens to really listens to a lot of Creed and POV and
a lot of pop music, pop everything, commercials, Nike, Reebok. You get the picture. What I've been wondering is what specifically, or even generally, could I say to him that's going to give him a more open mind about I don't know, atheism or the possibility of...
well, I don't know. You can always start with, dude, Creed sucks, and see what he does, you know, and if he...
I say that quite a bit. Quite a bit, actually. That's one of my favorite phrases. Dude, Creed sucks. It's on my wall.
You know, I don't know. Just engage. You can't force a guy to talk about anything they don't want to talk about. Oh, just talk. You know, just hang out some night and just... ask him, well, what do you think about this? And then just let the debate kind of flow naturally. I'm not really for the idea of, you know, we're not trying to convert people to our particular ideology, but we do encourage critical thinking. And if you think that you've got really good reasons why believing in God isn't that smart an idea, then hit him with it and see what he has to say. What
really bugs me about this guy, and you know, I love him.
Yeah.
What really bugs me is that he started popping out with those teen Bibles. You know, the study Bibles.
Okay.
The ones with the clever quotes about homosexuality, the things you're supposed to do if you encounter, you know, a person that does drugs or smokes cigarettes.
What does it say you're supposed to do?
With homosexuals, I think it's you know, you're supposed to evaluate them and tell them that there's a better life out there rather than the poor paths they're choosing. So on and so forth.
Well, I can't imagine a single, you know, gay person, you know, doing anything other than chuckling at that. But I can see now the concern is that it's not that he's developing a particular belief system, but he is now being swayed into what the end result, I think, of any...
the Falwell view of closing yourself
the irrational belief system can lead to, which is intolerance towards people who aren't, that the belief system says aren't on the approved list.
Exactly.
And you can just start by pointing that out. You know, I think, you know, you can just start by pointing out, look, if, you know, just bring up the whole problem of the doctrine of hell, that it's completely inconsistent with the idea of a loving God. The whole idea of this loving God who loves us all unconditionally, but then he says, if you don't love me back, you're going to be tortured forever. There's a bit of a problem with that one.
That's a funny one, though. I like
that.
I
mean, why is it that you know, the problem of evil, and then he'll hit you with free will, and then the response is that free will really isn't relevant to the question of the problem of evil. It has to do more with God as a morally responsible being.
Right.
You know,
why would he create this?
Yeah, you can leave anyone the choices to do anything bad you like. You can have a complete free will situation and still have God conducting himself as the moral authority, saying, "Oh, but you know, here's the choice that if you make this choice, I will stop you. You know, I will stop you from crashing that plane into that building. I will stop you from kidnapping that 5-year-old child and murdering her. I will stop, you know, or I will not allow earthquakes to happen in heavily populated areas. I'll only let them happen on remote desert islands where, you know, a few toads might be inconvenienced, but you know, we won't have dead people. You know, it seems like there's all the stuff that goes on in the world just isn't consistent with the notion of this loving God who looks after us all.
It looks like your God takes Tuesdays off.
There you go. That kind of thing. And just hit him with that and just do the back and forth and see what he has to say.
All right. I appreciate it, guys.
Yeah. Well, thanks. Man. Good luck. Give us a follow-up.
All right.
Well, that was kind of cool. Anthony's on line 1. Okay. Let's see what, we'll just keep it rolling. Anthony, you're on the air.
Hey, how you guys?
Thanks. We're just having a fun show today.
No, this is so cool. Hey, the guy was speaking earlier about the Constitution rights and about religion. And
sorry about that guy. I didn't quite mean to go off on him that way. I just love to hear myself talk.
Yeah, but I don't think that religion needs to be in the Constitution rights nor the Declaration of Independence. I think people just have to believe in what you want to believe in, and we shouldn't have, how can I say this? I shouldn't criticize you, or you shouldn't criticize me for what we believe in, because we all here to love and be with one another. It shouldn't matter what you think or who your faith is in. Mm-hmm. It should be just how you approach someone, and how he or she treat you in life is what we should be basing all life characters on. And because no matter what anyone say, I don't even believe the Bible is true to a certain extent. I mean, some of it may be true, but I think, you know, a majority of it has been rewritten to satisfy man and satisfy the politicians and the governors and whoever else that can benefit from it. I just think we just really need to just drop the whole religion thing and just learn to deal with each other on a human basis as we walk this face of this earth, and enjoy the time that we have here. And it shouldn't be, you know, that we have to try to prove ourselves to each other that there is a God, there isn't a God. It really doesn't matter. We all will find it out when we pass on to the next life, or if we pass on to stay where we at. What we should do is just enjoy one another while we're here, so that we can move on.
Yeah. And two things about that, actually. One, if everybody thought like you did, we wouldn't have a need for this show.
I know.
Most likely.
And
because
that's what people don't, not to cut you off, but that's what people don't really understand about you guys. You're not here to criticize their religion. You're trying to here to let them know that, hey, you believe in what you believe in, that you still have to love and be with them and talk to them civilized and treat them in the way that they need to be treated.
Well, also, there's an important distinction to make about that criticizing a belief system. And I do have criticisms of the religion, and I'm not ashamed to voice them, you know, obviously. But that's not the same thing as attacking people.
Yeah.
Right? It's like, I respect people. I'll only give a particular belief as much respect as I think it deserves. And it deserves as much respect as the evidence behind it warrants. But, you know, I respect the right of individual people to believe what they want, like you say. And my family is Christian. I have a great many friends who are either Christian or have other belief systems that I don't agree with, but I still love them as my friends.
Right.
The only time that I think you should criticize a person is if you have that person doing a bad thing, you know, maybe because of their belief system or what have you.
Right.
So when you have these preachers going around like Falwell and Fred Phelps and other guys railing against, you know, the gays and lesbians, and when you have people like the KKK, who are these organized racists, of course, who hide behind the religion, and they're doing bad things, and you have people who do bad things, that's when you can attack people and say, that guy's a bad guy.
Just to show you how the system is, you think about it, you know, the way you male came up, the way I came up, not knowing how old that you are. You know, we came up with our parents chastising us and teach us the right and wrong ways, how to deal with other people. Now, you have, how to say, the law of the land saying now they don't want you to spank your child or chastise your child when they're doing wrong. They'll come pick you up. Who is this? These people that Child Protection Service will come in and take your children. Okay, then you have people like the KK out there that teaches their kids to hate other colors, even yourself, because you don't have blue eyes. So they consider that your blood is mixed. You're not true. So I think it's just the way how society is, that they'll let people like that to keep doing the things that they're doing, but yet good people like you and I and the gentleman next to you, they want to criticize things that we're doing. But that's all I wanted to say. Yeah. And you guys keep up the good work, and don't let anyone deter you from what you're trying to do.
Well, hey, we appreciate your call and really nice comments. Thanks very much.
Thank you much.
Yeah.
It's terrible. Holy wars, killing. They're just using religion as an excuse to be extremely crappy to each other.
So what else is new?
Yeah. You know what? I think I just hung up on the wrong guy. I'm sorry. Please call back. We'll get you to the top of the line.
There's also another important thing you brought up about there about live and let live type ideas. If there is a God, then live and let live is good for this life. But if there is a God, I really want to frickin' know before I die. It's a little bit late when I die to find out that, yes, I am going to burn in hell.
Well, you know, now the Christians will say, well, you know, if you would just read this and take absolutely everything seriously, then you would know, and so it's your own problem that you're not right. There's the standards of evidence, I think. The skeptical mindset, I think, demands a higher standard of evidence for extraordinary claims.
Yeah.
Okay. And what's the difference between extraordinary claims and ordinary claims? You have ordinary claims, which are like, hey, I had lunch today with my friend Fred.
Yeah.
Big deal. But then you have extraordinary claims like, my best friend is this big invisible magic man who made the universe. Okay, well now that's, I need a bit more there. And when you consider that there are thousands of religions in the world, they all have their holy writings, or most of them do. They all have their anecdotes and personal testimonials about, oh, and this changed my life, and what have you, and what have you. It seems to me that if there is a deity, then it should be a provable fact, just like there are quasars and black holes. We should, you know, if we can detect those things, deities should be detected. I mean, if it's a thing that can be detected, we should be able to do it. But then you want to say, well, there's this God, but we can't really find him through normal natural means. You have to believe on faith and
then how does he interact with the real world?
Yeah, then all these problems come up. And so we're demanding a higher standard of evidence than the believer.
Of course.
But we're not closed to the idea. Now, I think that specific definitions of God that exist, being logically impossible, you can look at specific definitions like, okay, that's an impossible being.
Yeah.
But does anything resembling a deity exist? I must admit, I don't know. But, all right, so I think Troy, the guy that, who's back on line 1?
There we go.
All right, well, we'll find out. Hi, you the guy I just hung up on?
No.
Okay, well, then, sorry if to him if he's out there, please call back, but we'll take your call, sir.
Okay. Sir, you was talking about this mystic God. Have you been down on South Manchek to the Presbyterian Church down there and seen the sign? It says, ye can be my friend if ye do as I command.
What a guy.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
It's South Austin on Manchek Road to the Presbyterian Church that has a big sign out, and that's exactly what it says.
That's a fun line.
Huh?
You try saying that on a date.
Yeah, you can be my friend as long as you do as I tell you.
Yeah.
If you kowtow to my every word, you're okay.
Yeah. Oh, I think that's they're well.
I had to get that in because every time I pass there, I laugh.
That is a terrific line, and you know and it's done in such an irony-free way, right? The people who do it just don't really seem to understand the implications of it, and that just makes it more funny, doesn't it?
Yeah. I laugh. I pass it almost every day, and every day I go by, I get a big laugh out of it. So
well, thank you for sharing.
I want you guys to know that if you don't do as I tell you, I won't be your friend anymore.
Oh, okay. We're sorry. Okay.
I need to put that in there.
Yeah, Thanks. That's funny. Well, thank you for sharing. That's great. Yeah. All right, take care.
That's what fundamentalism breeds, though. No irony.
You can be my friend as long as you do as I say.
Yes.
Well, really teaching us the spirit of sharing and togetherness is really just evoked
the friendly spirit there.
Yeah. Now, on other token, I saw a bumper sticker last night that could have been funny, but actually creeped me out. It was, I think, it had like all these symbols on, like there's a cross and then a little arrow thing, and then there was an eye and there's another. And I was like, what does that mean? You get close and you read the caption, and it says. It said, Jesus must increase and I must decrease. I'm like, that's weird. What does that mean? Yeah. You know, and it just seemed to me to be this whole statement of, you know, lower yourself because you're not really that.
I don't mean anything.
Yeah, I'm meaningless, and what really matters is this invisible friend that I'm being taught to worship and believe in, and I'm just really nothing compared to that. And I don't see there's a whole lot healthy about. You know, yeah. I mean, there's an unhealthy aspect of like building up too much self-esteem in a person, but to try to strip it away entirely,
take away any confidence and self-esteem that you have and rub that in the dirt.
Yeah, that's
pure nothing.
Yeah, that's like not really part of Don Lawrence's speech on Wednesday. He brought up this whole idea about this poisonous attitude that's being spread around by these belief systems that says this life in the here and now doesn't mean anything.
Yeah.
Well, people should be concentrating on this lovely afterlife, this paradise that we'll be spending forever with our invisible pal.
Yeah.
And that's just not good. Because what it leads to are situations with people who really don't have any respect for human life, doing what they do, like they did on September 11th, to sort of further this kind of religious ideology. And what we need to be doing to survive as a species is just just building everybody up, making them be able to have as much success and happiness and joy, each other in this life right now. That's what we need to do.
Yeah.
So anyway, but you're right. I think you know, do as I say and you can be my friend is a lot funnier. Okay, well we're waiting for the control room to get some more names up here for some calls. 477-2288 is the number to call and yell at us. And remember, this is the September 15th show. If you're watching this program on Tuesday or one of our rerun days, we do have reruns on 4:30 p.m. Tuesdays on this channel. Please don't call those days, because you won't get us. You'll probably get somebody else and be really confused. But we're here every Sunday afternoon at 4:30, and Stephen is on the line. Hi, Stephen. You're on the air.
Hi. I had a question about Carl Jung, the collective unconscious, the archetypes. How do y'all feel about that? And would you say it's a spiritual thing, or would you say it's more of a, I guess, visual, instinctive type of thing?
The conscious, unconscious?
The collective
unconscious. Basically, it's a theory that all symbols are made for man's unconscious, so all religions tend to have the same themes. Dreams, creative pursuits kind of bring these things out.
Yeah. I admit I haven't studied Carl Jung that much, so I don't really feel qualified to give like anything in the way of an expert opinion. But I'm a little more familiar with the concept of memes, which are the ideas that that there are certain, which seems kind of similar to what Jung was getting at, which is that there are some ideas that become sort of ingrained in the fabric of our culture, and they're literally spread, like just from person. They're ideas that are spread from person to person.
I think that's a little different in the collective unconscious comes from your unconscious, comes out through your dreams. You don't have control of it.
Yeah.
And these symbols just come out of your unconscious, and they could have been anywhere in any culture at any time. I guess it's kind of hard to explain. I guess.
You know, I should read up more on that. I really should.
Okay.
But interesting to think about, though, and I appreciate you bringing it up. Man, I should put a bug in my ear, and we'll try to learn a little more about that.
Excellent. Thank you.
Thanks, man.
All right. Bye bye.
Hang up on the right person this time, Martin. Cool. All right. Well, Carl Jung. We'll make a note of that. So, bone up on my Jung. That was a sentence that didn't sound right, did it? Sorry. All right, Cecelia is on line too. Let's talk to her. Cecelia?
Yes.
Hi, you're on the air. Thank you for calling.
Thank you for having me on. Yeah, I really appreciate your show, and just I guess I was calling in because you needed someone to call in about paganism, and I guess I could consider myself a pagan. It's a continual process of evolution, I guess.
Okay, so is Harry Potter the Bible, yes or no?
Oh, of course, yes.
All right.
You know, I mean, we see constant elements of paganism and Christianity and everything out in the media, and they just, of course, exploit everything, and you know, calling paganism Satanism and things like that, and it's pretty ridiculous, and it's really good, your response to that man who, you know, basically said that it was proselytizing in the schools using Harry Potter as a be-all and end-all of what paganism is, or representation of that. That was a really good response. And
well, you know, if Harry Potter were what paganism was really about, paganism would be huge.
Oh,
right?
yeah, and we'd all have our own wills being, you know, I mean, if you'd cast spells like that, I mean, wow, that would just be very,
that'd be awesome.
Just like conjure up, may disappear and make, and just, wave a wand and have, chocolate cakes appear in front of you.
Yes,
and
everyone would be pagan.
Who wouldn't do that? Yeah. I mean, it'd be so popular, Christianity would adopt it.
That's exactly.
It'd be like, so.
Well, it tries to, but
yeah. But, right, so do you, how knowledgeable are you about Wicca?
A little bit, just the earth-based religions, just basically studying it. There's so much information out there that it's pretty difficult to just try to figure out everything there's so many aspects of it. Just I guess if there's so many aspects of any other religion that you just really kind of have to educate yourself and figure out what you really believe. And
sure.
And yeah, I know a little bit about Wicca, and I have quite a few friends who are Wiccan, and it just seems like it's a very non-judgmental type religion. Everybody kind of adopts whatever they feel is in their heart, I guess, and whether or not that is evil or that just remains to be seen.
Yeah.
And people have to just really kind of figure out for themselves and find their own path in life.
Yeah. I guess so. Yeah, but thanks for that information. What I think is the whole Harry Potter scare is that this ties into, I think, when you are someone who is really enamored of irrational belief systems in the first place, okay, it's not difficult to make the leap of, uh-oh, Harry Potter is suddenly the competition. In other words, there are some people who are just fantasy prone. Okay, distinguishing fantasy from reality is a problem for them. You see this in these guys who are, you know, these pop exorcists. You know, these guys who think of, you know, these Bob Larson. Now, I haven't made up my mind if Bob Larson is this out-and-out con man or if he really does believe this kooky stuff, but he's one of these guys on Christian television who has these big rallies in like Holiday Inns and the ballrooms, and he casts demons out of people.
Oh, no.
Okay, and it's all bogus, right? Because it's all people who just get up there like, "Bleh," and he's like, "Stop," and they're like, "Ah," and it's hilarious for a while, but then there's these people writing him big checks at the end, and you're just kind of like, ugh. But you do have people, I think that that irrational beliefs have become so ingrained into our culture that people just can't, that there is a group of people who can't distinguish, okay? Like there are people who, like me, who watch X-Files and go, ah, that's sci-fi, it's fun. And then there are people who go, no dude, like that stuff's real because my uncle, you know, had like this farm and this stuff happened one night and there's all these lights and then these guys in helicopters showed up and dude, it was like, you know, so there are people who think this really goes on. There's difficulty distinguishing fantasy from reality, and that's what happens when you have something that's clearly a novel, and it creeps religious fundamentalists out, because when you've gotten to the fundamentalist extreme of a belief system, it's all real. Because what basis do you have to judge, you know, well, this one kooky invisible thing I believe in is real, but other invisible stuff, you don't have a basis when you're already prepared to believe in the existence of magical invisible stuff. You know, so that's kind of what's funny about it, but then at the same time it can, you know, lead to conflict. So
I guess the main thing that I guess creeps me out about fundamentalism is that they think that everything is an attack on them. You know, everything has been kind of, I guess, well, Satanism and paganism are equal. You know, they're the exact same thing, and actually Satan didn't even exist until the Christians made them up. So, you know, so
Catholicism and Satanism are equal in the minds of some of those people. Yeah. They're not too far removed from devil worshippers and from some fundamentalist Protestants think. Right. So yeah, this is what religion does. It splits people into these little warring factions where they all say we're the best and we're the favored ones and all these other folks are bad and we need to, you know, so we need to deal with them. And I just don't think that's healthy for people, period.
Well, I appreciate your show. Thank you very much.
Hey, thanks, Cecelia, and you know, and invite any of your like Wiccan friends to phone us up if they like, and you know, fill us in on what that's all about.
Sure will. Thanks.
All right. Thanks. Respond to that whole Harry Potter question.
Yeah, really.
Okay. Andy's on one. Is this our Andy or a different? Okay. See what you have to. Hi.
Hey guys.
Hey, Hooky playing Andy. What you up to?
Hooky playing? What are you talking about?
Well, you're at home and not here. Chide, wag my finger.
Well, it was either play hooky on my homework or play hooky on the show.
Well, where are your priorities?
Tests, exams, getting grades. Come on, you know, be a rebel. You're in college. Hey, what's up, Ann? How you doing?
That's why I'm doing it on Sunday and not on Friday.
Yeah. What's up?
Well, actually, you killed my point I was going to make. I was going to call in and talk about how...
You're welcome.
Harry Potter, the reason they get freaked out about that is because they're afraid someone's going to, ooh, that might be a real thing. Fundies don't want anyone else having any other idea. The other books that we read, they like because they promote Judeo-Christian stuff. You know, anything that's not Judeo-Christian, oh crap, our kids might start thinking for themselves.
Yeah.
Or just stray away from
Heaven forbid.
Yeah, from the belief system.
Well, thinking for yourself will stray you away from the fundies.
Sure. Yeah. Right. Huh. Yeah. Well, that's very true. But you know, there's this humongous best-selling series of Christian novels. You know, the whole all these Left Behind novels, and people are reading those by the bajillion. So I mean, they've definitely got their niche in the fiction world, and you know, but I think the only reason that Harry Potter's getting the attention is, well, it's these massive, phenomenal bestsellers. Yeah. Okay. But they're targeted, but they're aimed at an audience of kids.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. There's this whole genre of fantasy fiction that's out there, right? You know, where they talk about spells and demons and casting stuff and traveling to other dimensions.
At a slightly higher level, though.
Yeah, but it's sort of like it's kept within its own particular marketing niche, and it's there, and they're not really aimed at specifically at kids. They're just for general audience. But here you have this incredible best-selling series of novels that have, to everyone's amazement, gotten kids away from the Game Boys and the PlayStations. Yeah. And there's this whole generation of kids who are doing what nobody ever thought kids would ever do again, which is pick up a 700-page book and read that as their form of entertainment, not just do MTV or cable or PlayStation all the time. And now I think that's awesome.
Yes.
But what, of course, Christians don't like it because suddenly it's like, there's all these kids and they're reading stuff which we want, but they're not reading our book. They're reading this other one. And they think it's all real, but it's just stories. And so I think that's really what it's all about. It's like, damn it, that Rowling person got our market share. So.
Yep.
All right, Andy, we got 5 minutes to go, and we want to try to get another caller in, all right?
All right, y'all have a good day.
Okay, good luck on that final there. So one of our crew members playing hooky today. Smack, smack, smack. Wow, that's right. Do very good on those tests, because otherwise the money supply might dry up. I learned that lesson fast when I was in college. Okay, Norman, I'm being told Norman's on line 2, but there's no, but the line 3 is the only one that's lit up. I'll take line 3 then. Okay. We'll see if that's, all right. They're confusing us in the control room. Is this Norman?
Yes.
Hey, you're on the air. How you doing?
Hey, I'm all right. How are y'all?
We're okay. We're just
good.
having fun today.
I ask about the irrational beliefs. You keep using that term. I'm just curious. Is that in reference to anybody that believes that there is a God? Is that an irrational belief?
I think that adopting any belief system that does not have either a very, very solid evidentiary foundation or just flat out been proven to be true is not a good idea.
Okay.
And it becomes irrational. And it's not now just doing that isn't necessarily irrational, but it becomes irrational when you have to, and you see this again among fundamentalists who will, when confronted with evidence that disconfirms either the belief or many aspects of the belief, they continue to hold on to the belief in spite of that, and they become even more strident and intolerant because of that. That's when it becomes irrational, when you hold to a belief system so firmly that not even the most direct and compelling evidence could possibly convince you otherwise. That's how I define an irrational belief. Some others, you might disagree. I don't know.
Okay. So the idea of just believing in a God, sitting in your house, and not pestering people, but just believing that there are things that you can't explain, and you attribute that to a personal force embodied in a person, like, say, God. Do you think that's irrational?
There are 2 points to that. Yes, it is irrational.
Why?
Because we have no evidence, no reason, no solid reason to believe that there is a God. Now again, if they're sitting in a living room and believing that God is giving them stuff, it may not be that dangerous. If you believe fairies make it rain, not that big of a deal. If you start trying to legislate stuff, push that belief on other people, and discriminating and doing all this kind of bad stuff, that's where it gets to be a problem.
Yeah, and that's not what I was asking.
Yeah, I would say that
irrational beliefs in relation to just believing that there is a God.
Okay, here's
yes, it is irrational.
Well, here's how I would put it. I would agree with you. I would phrase it a little differently.
Is it? I'm sorry, Mark. Go ahead.
Here's how I would put it. And any sort of attempt to investigate reality in the world around you starts with some degree of speculation. Okay, and that's fine. That's kind of part of the scientific process. You say, well, here's all this stuff, and we want to figure out how it works, and so where do we go from here? And we can it could be the cause of, it could be the result of natural forces. There could be some external agency involved, maybe some sort of God. It could be the result of space aliens. It could be this, could be that, could be the other thing. Then when you start from that springboard, then you work out and you see what the evidence shows. Now, although it might not be specifically irrational to say, to entertain the idea of a deity as a possibility, I don't think that it is rational to arrive at a conclusion until the evidence turns up. You can always consider various possibilities, but it should always be open-ended until you arrive at what you think is a conclusion based upon sound evidentiary footing. Now, if someone out there thinks that they have solid evidence that arriving at the conclusion of a God is the rational conclusion, great. Call us up and please present that. And we'll listen to it. We'll be happy to do that. But anyway, we're fresh out of time now. We're down to 30 seconds, so we appreciate your question. Good question. And call us back anytime, all right?
Thanks.
Thanks, man.
Thanks, Sean.
Okay. And Vic, that's our Vic, so we'll talk to him after the show. Thanks everybody for watching. We want to thank our crew who's turned up, trickled in, and we're going to make fun and ridicule our other producer, Russell, who didn't show up today. Hee, Russell. And just remind everyone, bagel shop meetings, if atheists and unbelievers, 10:30 a.m., Hot Jumbo Bagels. Please turn up if you'd like to meet other atheists, and tune in every Sunday 4:30. We're right here, Channel 10. Christians, we don't hate you. We just think you're wrong. Pagans too. Bye.
See you next week.